I think he feeds off of that a little bit.
No doubt.
Yeah.
No, Josh Allen keeps receipts. There's absolutely no doubt in my mind. We'll start with this question from Robin.
So there's still a damn good defense. I have zero problem with them bringing this guy in.
All right, welcome back to the Buffalo Plus YouTube channel presented by Connors and Ferris. Mike Catalana. I am Jenna Cottrell. Dan Fates enjoying a veteran day off. He takes them too, okay, obviously.
Yes.
Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share. We always appreciate it. This is another edition of You Ask, We Answer, presented by Stellar Roofing, Windows, and Siding. All right, Mike, the Bills coming off that big win over the Jags on Monday Night Football. Some great questions we have on the Buffalo Plus YouTube channel. I want to start with this one from Eel1378. While Josh Allen has looked completely in command of the offense, can he win MVP at this pace? He's 14th in yards, though top 3 in every other meaningful stat. What's your take on that?
It helps to have a narrative to win the MVP. You got to play great. Your team has to win. And you have to be the best player on the best team or one of the best teams. Right now, he's the best player on a team that arguably is the best right there, with the Chiefs or whatever you want to say about the other undefeated teams. Yes, he can absolutely win it playing like this, but the team has to continue to have success. And when I say narratives, he's got a great one for this year, Jenna. You lost Diggs, you lost Davis, they lost players on defense, the Bills window, blah, 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 blah. And here's Josh just playing great. I don't think yardage passing is going to make that big of a difference. I think he's winning. He's making spectacular plays. He threw for touchdowns in this game. I don't know what he has total touchdowns so far, but he's well on the Josh Allen pace. Yeah, look, it's 3 games in. But I would say it's a pretty damn good start for him in terms of getting to that kind of accolade.
A fantastic start. And when I read this question earlier today, the first word that popped into my head was narrative, because we all know how that works, especially with the national media and stuff. But you're right. Like, Diggs is gone, Davis is gone. That factors into how he is perceived by not just Bills fans, but the entire league and all the fan bases. And that does matter, because that is how things are kind of shaped through that lens. And I think yesterday, what you saw too, the Bills have played in a lot of primetime moments, but you haven't seen Josh make some of those turnovers that people like to talk about and like to blow up about the interceptions, about this or about that. Obviously, he had the fumble against the Cardinals, but that was week 1. And since then, the body of work has been obviously impressive for Josh. So I think the primetime exposure, the less turnovers in general, and then just his play and the play surrounding this team that wasn't expected to be 3-0 to start the season. I think if you talk to a lot of people, the thought was Buffalo was going to struggle this season, but what we've seen out of the gate, like, I could absolutely see him winning MVP this year, which honestly is cool. And honestly, it's something I feel like he has deserved in the past, but the narrative might not have been the same in terms of other guys who he went up against.
So we heard him last night compliment the team they're going to play.
2 times.
And he referred to Lamar as 2-time MVP Lamar Jackson. It is a compliment. I know Josh has a lot of respect for Lamar. When he says things like that, I sort of to myself chuckle. It's not a dig at Lamar. It's just letting everybody know that guy's won 2 and he hasn't won any. And I think he feeds off of that a little bit.
No doubt.
Yeah.
No, Josh Allen keeps receipts. There's absolutely no doubt in my mind.
Yeah.
Which
I mean, last year was the narrative year for Lamar because he was on the best team, regular season best team. He had a very good season. But I mean, like, total touchdowns wasn't even close. But the Bills had struggled. And at the point when a lot of voters are really thinking about what they're doing, the Bills were 6-6. So he wasn't even in consideration. So it's early for all those awards. But to answer to the question, yes, he is in a good spot 3 games into a long season.
So this brings up a nice question also from Coondog South Adventures. Dogs. Nope. Coon Dogs Outdoor Adventures. There we go.
Yes.
We got it. All right. Was it the first time a dig on Diggs from Josh Allen's comments on players not interested in stats? You and I have been covering Josh long enough to know that his press conferences are pretty boilerplate, understandably so, not wanting to give other teams ammo, not wanting to give too much away from the team. And honestly, he gets asked the same questions a lot of the time. So I understand some of the more generic responses. But every now and then, he sprinkles in a little bit that you're like, if you're just listening and not really paying, if you're just hearing him speak, you really wouldn't be like, oh, yeah. But if you listen, you're like, that is interesting. You bring up the 2-time Lamar MVP. That to me was interesting. Not shade to Lamar, but just the fact of, yeah, this is the guy that's won it 2 times. And then yesterday in the post game comments, when essentially he was saying how, yeah, guys do not care about the stats. That to me, my ears kind of perked up a little bit. And I was like, interesting for him to make a note of that and say that because Josh Allen is very specific about what he says and how he says it, Mike.
Without question. And I think we've all become fluent in his, whether it's tone or smirks or just sort of a smile, when he will want to sort of get a point across or try to be funny, he knows how to put that in there. Now, if he has a bad game, he goes into a totally different mode where he just rips himself.
Mm-hmm.
He'll say, I was terrible. I was bad. I cost our team, like that kind of thing. If they lose a game, he rarely does any of that, right? It's when he's feeling good and he's a very bright guy and he understands social media. He understands the way things are going to be taken. And I think he and Diggs have gotten, it's like posting on Instagram for people where it goes to somebody they know is going to see it and they might like a little something in it that person's going to know. I think Josh likes to do that. And, Diggs knew. I saw the video the other day of Diggs with CJ Stroud, great young player. And Diggs knew they were mic'd up and he was going on and on about how soft the ball was or whatever phrase he used, very catchable ball to Stroud. And I thought that was kind of funny because these guys all know what gets out there. They all know how to say things. So that'll be interesting more so in another week plus when they're in Houston. But for right now, yes, it was a dig at him, but a subtle one that isn't a headline, but we all hear it.
I think it's one of those that if you don't know Josh, I think that's as far as Josh will go, which he doesn't do much. So for him to say that, I do think it says kind of the message of like, yeah, my team is unselfish. I am so excited for that matchup in Houston coming up. I think that's going to be such a fun game to see because they won't say anything like pregame. I expect it to be, hugs, some chatting, all that stuff.
Oh, yeah.
But the undertones that we've seen, it kind of tells a different story. So, okay. Excuse me, sorry. At their Teo 2781, is it just me or do you also think that Josh's hand injury might have been a blessing in disguise since it's forced him to play smarter?
I do think he does have a hand injury. You noticed it. You were on the sidelines. What were you telling me about him on the sidelines?
Yeah, so I did notice like when guys were coming over in terms of like high fives and stuff, Josh was not using his left hand at all. Like they would.
Oh, I think you muted.
My mic got
back. You're back.
Okay. Hold on, I'm switching to my microphone. No, I think coming off the field, it would have made sense for some of the guys to high five Josh on his left hand. He didn't even have his hand up. It was more right hand. I think for me, it's kind of, I think this is a combination of a couple things. Maybe the hand injury plays into it. Obviously, a left hand injury is very different for a quarterback than a right hand injury when you're right handed, like Josh Allen is. But I think that this offense has kind of freed up Josh. the receivers that he has, James Cook being pretty effective, the trust that he has in Joe Brady has kind of let Josh be able to, what have we talked about? Like he can go to the open guy. He's playing smarter because I think he doesn't have to force the football as much as what we've seen in the past. And I think because of that, he is making smarter football decisions. And those have been resulting in better outcomes as opposed to the interceptions or bad plays or things like that. So I think he also has seen like the run game can be effective. Like he doesn't have to do it all on his own. Obviously, there is that level that Josh Allen can ratchet up to and just take over a game. But I think for him, he's also experienced. Like, what year is this? Year 7 for him? Like he talked about it last week at practice. Like he's been fortunate enough to play for so long that he's seen a lot of what he's going to see and he knows to identify it and what the weaknesses are, what the strengths are. And so he's not thinking about it. He can react. Like he knows what to do type of thing. So I don't know. For me, I think that the left hand probably does play into things, handoffs you might mention, but for the most part, I feel like we've just seen kind of a more relaxed Josh, and I think that that has been hugely beneficial for him and for this team. And it's more so that than it is maybe the injury component.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I think it would be naive to think it doesn't somehow how play into his mind. You mentioned when he's thinking about high fives and, when he's handing off, he would have been a normal left-handed handoff. He sort of did it backhanded with his right hand. And I saw him in Miami. He had his fingers taped. He didn't have the glove on. You could see it was so it's seems to be probably a broken finger or something in his hand.
Yeah.
So I'm sure it's bothering him to some point, and he doesn't want it to get worse, and he's got to play with it. But I'm with you. It's the offense. And we see so far, 3 games in, we don't see that. And I won't say the word panic, but we don't see the, where am I going here? Scramble around with that. When he's been moving, he's gotten the ball out. He's had options.
Mhm.
The team seems to have answers. The movement has created mismatches for him. I haven't seen him throw to this many open players since Daboll was the coordinator. It just
Yeah.
hasn't happened. And so I think he's got all that going for him. And the hand just is more of like maybe it stops him on occasion from doing something, but I'm with you. I think it's more about the offense.
Yeah. Okay, next question at Caden Cornhummel 633. Looking ahead at the next 3 games at Ravens, at Houston, at Jets. What do you think our record is at that point? I see us going 2-1 losing. I really want to win against Houston and don't want to lose a divisional game. Therefore, okay with losing to the Ravens in a close game.
Well, if you rank the games, what you need the Jets first.
Of course, division, yeah.
And then the other 2 are about the same.
Mhm.
Uh,
AFC, yeah.
it's hard to predict because, I mean, you think about who could end up, it's head to head and where it could end up. So honestly, at the moment, the Houston game and the Ravens game are the same. They're 2 AFC teams, and the Jets being the most important. I said in the beginning when we looked at the schedule, this was a gauntlet of games. It still is very tough. They're all physical teams,
Mhm.
3 weeks in a row. Now, I didn't realize something. That Jets game is the week after they come back from London. So, how the
Oh.
Bills played coming back from London. I was told that by a Jets fan.
That's
Uh,
interesting.
so I was thinking like that is
That actually is a big factor in my opinion.
yeah, because the teams are able to take a
Yeah, you're
to
right, because
to
it's
take the bye. Yeah. So it
yeah.
is, right? The week before?
Yeah, a 9:30 AM kick, like, obviously Eastern time
Right.
versus the Vikings.
Yeah, and then they come home. So the Bills, they played the Giants the next week, and they were terrible in that
Yeah.
game. I don't know. The travel was bad to begin with. So that's that Jets game, the 3 games in. Look, I look at these 3 games and say, you got to win 1. You hope to win 2, and you would be obviously, you know, over the moon if you
So
won
you're
all 3 of
saying
them.
there's a chance.
Yeah, but I mean, a a little while ago, you were like, "Oh," and then you see the way the Bills are playing. Now, the way they played in home game against Jacksonville that appears to be a lost team, and the
Yeah.
Dolphins, like, they destroyed those teams, but quite honestly, neither of those teams is any good. I think the Cardinals are better than both those teams, which tells you something. But the Bills dominated these games is what you need to do. The
Yeah.
Ravens have had their struggles, but they've given games away. They have Lamar.
They
I mean,
almost did this past weekend.
they almost did it again, but they're going to be tough at home. You know Houston is good, and you know the Jets have played tough. So, and they give the Bills a hard time. So, hey, go beat Baltimore, and then all of a sudden you look at it and go, okay, let's see what happens in Houston, and you play it that way. It is. I'm going to sound like a player, say one at a time, but you can't think of this as 3 games. It's not a road trip. You go, you play, you come home, and then you go do it again, and you go do it again. But at least that third straight road game involves the home team just having come back from Europe.
Yeah, that's a nice caveat. I didn't realize that. That
Yeah.
definitely plays a factor into it. I mean, yeah, these are huge games. AFC, you talk about the Jets being a divisional game. Like, I now like seeing what we've seen. I do expect them to go 2-1. I honestly see it being more of a possibility for them to go 3-0 than 1-2. So I don't know. Maybe I'm a prisoner of the moment.
It is a little
I've
bit.
been called worse.
It's this league, ask the Bengals.
Well, this is the kind of segues at
Yeah.
Jordan Smith Q1R. Do you feel better about the Bills' chances now that Baltimore is not 0-3 coming into this game? I 1,000% feel that way. I
Yeah,
was like, they need to win
yes.
because you talk about a team that would be desperate. It would be
Yeah.
especially at home on Sunday Night Football. Oof.
Yeah, I was watching the game with some family, and they're all Bills fans, and I know they were playing the Cowboys. Now, I said by birthright, I could root against the Cowboys every game, which I think is the right thing for most Americans to do. But I'm watching this game, and I'm thinking, need the Ravens to win. I'm a big believer in the whole how you played the week before, the mindset coming in. Jacksonville didn't abide by that because they played even worse and the Bills destroyed them. But you see around the league, like you get an angry team. Now Baltimore's still only 1-2. So there's still a level of desperation. They got to play well at home. They just won in Dallas. But I'm with you, 0-3, because that division is nuts at the moment. I mean, Pittsburgh is 3-0. So, even at 1-2, they know they're right in it at the moment.
Yeah. The Steelers being 3-0 to me, though, is like fool's gold. Personally.
Yeah, because they're, they can play. They play that.
The defense.
Defense.
Okay. But you can't rely on that offense to score your points.
No, but they're
3-0. I mean, they did that. Like that is impressive. All right, final question. Mike Baruti 1207. How big of a concern is the Bills' run defense versus Baltimore? Obviously, Baltimore this season getting Derrick Henry, a guy that is just a tremendous running back, a little bit older, but still we saw him in that Cowboys Ravens game. Like some of those runs, I just can't imagine tackling a guy like that.
Yeah, he's big, he's strong, he's tough. The Bills have seen him a bunch of times with Tennessee. He's had some big moments against him. When I say it's not a concern, I think it helps you get the lead. The way the Bills offense is playing, I think they'll be able to move the ball. Baltimore has changed a lot. They've lost players on that defense. And I don't love Lamar's receiving core right now. It's just not great. And they've needed to run. Depends on how that game is going. If you're down 10 to Baltimore and they are pounding on you with the run game, yeah, that makes it tough when you have to stop them because they know they can just keep doing it. I think the numbers are a little misleading when it comes to the run game. We saw James Conner have a few moments, especially early in that game. Achane did, but I felt like you did, that the Bills were sort of
you're not going to beat us over the top.
But you got to give something, and they took that away. And I didn't feel that way at all with Jacksonville. So it is a team that can run. Lamar obviously is impactful in the run game, but I'm going to say, sure. It's a concern because you got to stop it, but go grab the lead on that Ravens team. Put the ball, sounds funny, 2-time MVP, but make Lamar throw it, and I'll feel better about the Bills' chances of going to Baltimore and winning.
What do you expect for that game? This is my question.
Yeah, I know, because
I ask, you answer.
What I expect is I need to know what you're going to do because I need to maintain because I'm trying to avoid Pilates as best I can in our bet. I've been scoping out some Pilates rooms at the gym just to
Oh,
see if
no,
I
I
could.
choose who the instructor is. For people that don't know,
No, 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 no. But at least I could, sort of
oh, like try?
trial
Okay.
run. Go ahead for those
For
who
those
don't
that
know.
don't know, we have a challenge between Dan, Mike, and myself of whoever has the best record gets to make the person with the worst record do something that of the winner's choosing. And my
Yeah.
choosing is to have either Mike or Dan, whoever loses, do a Pilates class because they make fun of it.
I don't make fun of it. I don't make fun of it because I've talked to a few of my contemporaries who have told me how difficult the classes are.
Yeah.
And my daughter's a dancer. She's taken a bunch of Pilates classes and she sort of chuckled when I mentioned that was our bet. So no. I know. Like yoga and Pilates are brutal.
Yes.
A,
I
a
think
borderline form of
maybe
torture.
Dan doesn't respect it then.
Well,
He kinda gave a
Dan
little
doesn't. And
chuckle.
let's be honest. It will be way more fun if it's Dan taking the class. It just will be.
Yeah,
So
true. We will
we
be
just
sure
gotta hope
to
he's in last place.
I was gonna say, I don't know.
Hey, it's early. We're
It's
all
early.
3-0.
That's
But
true.
now
This stretch is where
you separate the
much like
men
the
from the
Bills,
Dans this week.
yeah,
So
exactly. Okay, let's wrap up here. Thank you so much for joining us.
by the way, I just
Everyone.
wanted to mention, you mentioned it was Dan's Veteran Day off.
Mhm.
It's also your day off. You
Oh, yeah.
joined me on the call here. So
Thank you, yes. I do
yes,
work.
yes. Because people, I know they're very
Sometimes, you
disappointed
know
when they
what?
don't see Jenna on the videos, but she is entitled to her time off. And
Yes.
Dan took his time off today. But
Yes,
Dan's
exactly.
working. So yeah.
And Dan will be in Baltimore with Mike. I
Yep.
will be back in studio, so you will not see me on the field, but I am still
Yeah.
working.
But I think we'll be on live. Well, we're gonna
Correct.
be on live Thursday night,
Mhm.
7:15. And I think we'll be on live, at least the plan is from the field, 6:30 on Sunday. We'll let you guys know for sure if that's happening.
Mhm.
But that would be all of us talking, and Dan and I down there on the field in Baltimore. So another night game. So get your rest this week to get ready for a
Seriously.
late night Sunday in Baltimore.
What time did you get home? 3? Like a little before 3?
Yeah, what time did we get back here and then
I think I
back
was going to
there?
bed at 3.
Yeah, 3 o'clock by the time I got
Yeah,
done. So
yeah.
yeah, people are just like, oh yeah, it was I'm like, yeah, but we sort of prepare for that, right? We
Yeah.
know
No, I didn't
that's
do
what it
anything.
is.
Yeah. I was lazy day.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you everyone for joining us for You Ask, We Answer, presented by Stellar Roofing, Windows, and Siding. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share the Buffalo Plus YouTube channel. We appreciate that as well. For Mike Catalana and Dan Fates with a Veteran Day off, I am Jenna Cottrell. We'll catch you next time here on Buffalo Plus, presented by Connors and Ferris. We'll start with this question from Robin.
So there's still a damn good defense. I have zero problem with them bringing this guy in.